Hello, beautiful souls. Lisa here. Today, what I want to talk about is going from being burnt out to burning bright. And burnout, really. Like, what is burnout? How do we get here? How do we get to this, like what it was for me was like, I just literally knew what I had to do. I knew what needed to be done, but I literally physically couldn't do it. Like, just sitting and laying in bed. I laid in bed so many hours, so many days, so many months, feeling full of shame because it's like, you know what needs to be done, you know? Like taking a shower, brushing your teeth, like shit like that, I could not do. I would tell myself, hey, I'm gonna brush my teeth today. Like, that's the only thing I have on my list, and still not be able to do it. And then, because of that, I would feel even more guilt and shame, and like I was a dirty person, and you know, what kind of example am I setting for my kids? And it's like, it's a very helpless, like heartbreaking place to be in. And you know, it was 2022 where I hit my limit at work and like couldn't function there anymore, and I left, and I kind of like focused on the house and my well-being, still trying to go back to work and trying to do the things, but I couldn't do it anymore. Like, my body had reached its limit. And how we get here, how I got there anyway, I can't speak for everybody, but the more I'm analyzing my situation and my experience, and I do this so that, you know, I can know what created it, because this isn't how I want to live. Like, this isn't how I want my kids to live. Like, you shouldn't have to run yourself ragged to the point where you can no longer function to like live. That's not living. It's not. It's torture. It's hell. It's hell on earth. Thinking that you have to do all of these things just to, like, you know, be a human. And it's not true. So as I'm analyzing this, and I'm still deep in this, it's been like a week now that I've been really in my mind looking at my past choices, my past decisions, and like why I made them and stuff like that. So for me right now, where it's at is like all the times I said yes when I really didn't want to do something, you know? And then the whole thing about, we were talking last week about, like, you see everything, you know, and then you kind of feel like it's your responsibility to fix everything, when it's really not. Like, yeah, if you see something and you're able to help out, you know, then cool. But like, if you take on the responsibility of everyone, like, you're going to burn out, because you're taking their responsibility and you're making it yours, and it's not what you were supposed to do. What I think about right now, just this example popped in my head, is like, you know, whenever it comes to like picking up litter, right? People throw their trash on the ground. And if you hold yourself personally responsible for picking up every single piece of litter, like, you're gonna drive yourself nuts. It can't be just on you. You know, other people need to be held accountable and need to be responsible, or need to be let go. You know, like, it's not all on you. And that was the thing. That's the reoccurring theme with me whenever I'm feeling into my burnout, is that whenever I see something that's out of place or needs to be fixed, or whatever, like a dirty dish, like it's my responsibility and I take that on. Yet, you can live in a house with other people who just walk over it and ignore it, and they do not take that responsibility. So then it's even more my responsibility, but it's not. You're responsible for yourself, and knowing what you're capable of doing and doing that to the best of your ability. It's not your job to fix everything all the time. And it can be so hard. It is so hard to see things kind of disgusting and then not fix it. But what you do whenever you fix other people's messes all the time is you're taking away their responsibility. Like, if you're fixing it, then they don't have to be responsible anymore. And that is really where boundaries come in. Like, this is what I'm willing to do, and I am not willing to do that. You can't make somebody else be responsible, but you can not take responsibility for their irresponsibility. You see? And that's what I was doing, was fixing everything for everyone, taking their responsibility on, and then whenever I don't take their responsibility, I feel guilty, and that's why the cycle continues, And it's hard to go from being burnt out to burning bright. It is not like everything's good now. I stopped working. I didn't do anything really except for take care of the house and the kids, which you can be burnt out from just doing that too. There's so many little things that we do that nobody knows. This invisible labor, the emotional labor, the mental load, like knowing what we need from the grocery store, and knowing what the kids need for school. What size are their shoes? What size are their clothes? And why is it just my responsibility to know all that, But to go from being burnt out to burning bright, you cannot continue to live the same way you were living that got you into burnout. Not having boundaries, saying yes to everything to make everybody else happy. You have to stop, full stop. The way I was doing things did not work. And I know that because I know myself, and I know how incredible I am. I know what a hard worker I am, And the fact that I could not brush my teeth, it's fucking real. And it didn't just happen overnight. It was years and years and years of choosing others over myself, and basically just shoving myself away. What I thought, what I felt doesn't matter. I just need to keep going, keep fixing things, and then I'll matter, right? That's the thing. We think we're gonna matter. We think we'll be valuable if we continue this, but it's just not. And then you get to a point where you can't even do anything, And it doesn't matter that the last 20 years you did everything. Nobody sees that. It's just expected because that's what we've trained them to think, right? So going from being burnt out to burning bright, shining your light, living in your truth, it's hard because at first you don't even really know what that is. You've lost yourself. At least for me, I lost myself completely. I didn't know what I liked. I did know what I didn't like. So you can start there. If you know you don't like something, go ahead and say no. Like, just fun little experiment. And then the next part is like learning how to rest, learning how to turn the mind chatter off, learning how to rest without feeling guilty was like, it's been like a year-long process for me, and I still struggle with it. But it's so important to be able to rest and to be able to like let things go. Like, we don't have to fix everything right now. Like, accepting the moment as it is, you know, and honoring what you can control and what you can't. And then just taking actions to do whatever you can, you know? Like, don't guilt yourself for not being able to do everything. Has been a really big one. And then boundaries and holding other people accountable, you know? Like, if somebody drops trash on the ground and then continuously walks over it, the expectation that they are having is that you are going to pick up that trash. So the boundary there is, no, I am not picking up your trash. That's your responsibility. You know, whenever I drop trash, I pick it up. That's my responsibility. And you can have days where you go and help out or whatever, but the thing is, like, if you get into this situation where you're constantly having to clean up after someone else because they would just throw their trash on the ground and walk over it without a care in the world, they're expecting that of you now. And it's not your responsibility, you know? So you make the boundary. I am no longer cleaning up after you. It is your responsibility to clean up after yourself, you know? And then you can just leave that. Boundaries. Not having boundaries was the biggest thing so far that I've seen that created this burnout in me. And as I'm starting to create boundaries and hold them, it totally makes sense why I didn't do it before, because it literally feels like I'm dying. I get nauseous, I get shaky. It is a very visceral experience. You feel it everywhere, and it's so uncomfortable. And it still needs to be done. It is not more uncomfortable than the burnout was, and all of that shame for taking on the responsibility of others. You know? You can let all of that responsibility go. You are responsible for yourself. They are responsible for that. And just because they're not being responsible doesn't mean that you are bad or that you need to fix it. That's a them problem. Maybe the answer is letting that go. Letting the irresponsible, unaccountable go. You know, surrounding yourself with people who can be accountable and responsible for their own areas, you know? But yeah, burnout, I'm still like, I'm mind blown because, you know, you hear about it all the time. I remember in 2021, my dad said if I didn't slow down, I was going to burn out. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, you know? And I didn't even realize that that's what I was in until I was like a year into it. And there's not a lot out there about it. And yet I see it all the time. And I think most people probably don't even realize that they're burnt out. You know, you disassociate, full of anxiety all the time because you're always trying to make everything okay, right? So slowing down and realizing that things are actually okay. It's your mind telling you that they're not, you know? Meditation has been really helpful too. Meditation helps everything for me. Being able to quiet the mind and observe, you know, I'm feeling this way because I'm being mistreated, right? That's the anger that we feel whenever we're like trying to fix something for somebody else constantly who's not being responsible. Is, yeah, this guilt. You've taken on their responsibility. So it's really important to meditate, to quiet yourself, to come back to yourself, and to like realize who you are and all that you've done. A lot of the times too, we like sell ourselves short. Like we haven't done enough when we've actually done all of the things. Anything that got done, we did it. And then we're saying that's still not enough. Yet meanwhile, there are other people that haven't done anything, and they're feeling fine, you know? Like, what is up with that? But yeah, boundaries and burnout. If you want to go from being burnt out to burning bright, the key is boundaries. Figuring out what is your responsibility and holding yourself accountable for that, and letting go of all the other responsibilities that are other people's. You know, if somebody asks you for help and you can help them, then yeah, do it. Like, it's great to help people, but you don't have to. You can say no. You know, and oftentimes when we try and help somebody, when we're empty ourselves, it isn't very helpful. So making sure to fill yourself up first, and then you can spread all your goodness all around. For anyone who's struggling with burnout, I really feel for you. And if you want to connect, I'd be happy to connect and let you know what's in my head about it. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It has been, I want to say, like, devaluing. Like, I felt like such a useless piece of shit. But the more I think about it, I'm like, it wasn't my fault. You know, I was trying to make the world a better place. You know, I was trying to do my best. Just because I saw something that needed to be done, I thought I had to do it. You know, but it's not always that. Like, it's the weight of the world on your shoulders. Like, and that's not any one person's responsibility. You know, and if other people around you are not being responsible and you are taking that irresponsibility onto yourself, that's so big. It's so big. But I'm just sending you love if you're in this. And I'm here. Bye.